Hello, James here, and the IONIQ 5 72.6 kilowatt hour all-wheel drive Project 45 with its 20-inch alloy wheels. We know the efficiency of that with the tests that I've been doing, or some might say the inefficiency of the car. So in this video we're going to compare it with the premium IONIQ 5, and this is the rear-wheel drive with the same battery size and with 19-inch alloys. We'll be doing two tests, one a short motorway journey and the other a nice casual drive around the seaside town of Morecambe. Before we get on our way, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button and smack that notification bell. That'll be very much appreciated, and it also helps me be motivated to make more IONIQ 5 videos. We'll start with the all-wheel drive and have a recap as well with the eco-driving that I've been doing on this car. For the first motorway test, we'll be driving in normal mode, auto regen, and using the highway drive assist active on the motorway at 70 miles an hour. We'll be travelling from Morecambe up to Burton and Kendal services, which is around 10.5 miles with a slight incline. And with no big surprise, we got 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour for the 10.5 miles drive, and that equates in metrics 21.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers to cover 16 kilometers. And in our previous eco driving video, we managed 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour driving around the valleys of Livingston. That equates to 17.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So now we're all caught up with the all-wheel drive variant of the IONIQ 5, let's head back to Morecambe where I commandeered myself a rear-wheel drive IONIQ 5. We'll be doing the same motorway trip as before up to Burton and Kendal services. I'll include the return trip on the next part. Then we'll be driving around Morecambe in full eco mode, driving exactly how I did when I was driving my car around the valleys of Livingston. IONIQ 5 here, and this is the premium version, and I'm gonna go for a second test drive this time now that I know a little bit more about the IONIQ 5. I thought I'll have another go at this and then check the efficiency of this one. So we're gonna have a little drive around, and then when I get my car back we'll do the sort of same trip and see what sort of mileage that we get or consumption that we get. It's actually a material interior instead of the perforated leather that I've got on mine. It's a little bit rougher. Overall I think the design's exactly the same, or the same sort of cuts as well. This doesn't actually go backwards and forwards, it's static. It's a slightly softer material, that's a little bit rougher here, probably good for grip. If we go to the back seats, it's the same sort of material again. So this is what it looks like at the back of this compared to the leather interior. So it's kind of a two-tone seat pattern. So we're just outside Hyundai DSG in Morecambe, and we're off to Burton services up the M6. That's about 10 miles away. I just want to see what the efficiency of the rear-wheel drive IONIQ 5 at 70 miles an hour is on the motorway. Now that I've got a feel of the car, I know how all the systems work, so it should be a much easier drive, or much easier to gauge what the efficiency is between the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive. So I'll do this first, and then I'll have to come back. I'll have to go past Burton services anyway when I get back into my own car later on when I drive back up north. So we'll compare the two together and we'll see how much of a difference it is. And also I'll be driving around some local roads as well. So I'll reset the trip again and we'll see what sort of best case miles per kilowatt hour I can get. On the motorway, I'll be going on the normal mode and I'll be driving around, and then when I stop over I'll take a picture of the screen, and then we'll do the same for the others, because I can't really show you while I'm driving, so you have to take my word for it when I'm driving what is on display. Right, so accumulative info, hold, reset, Right, so it's reset now, and we are going to be heading off. Oh, I need to put it on drive. So you'll have to bear with the nav system. I will keep straight on this road. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness, I'm glad I turned it down in my car. So you have to bear with the sat-nav chatting away to me. So I'm on normal drive mode and the regen level is on auto, and I'm just cruising at the speed limit. And then I'll basically pick up 70 miles an hour once I'm on the motorway, which is very shortly. And now that I'm on the motorway, I'm just going to head up to 70 miles an hour, and we're just going to cruise at that speed. So you got to remember, this is an incline that we're at, so the efficiency won't be as good for an overall journey, but this is just a small 10-mile trip. And even with this, we've covered 7.5 miles and we're at 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which I think is going to be a lot better than the all-wheel drive version already when we jump back in my car after. Just cruising at 70 miles an hour. Feels very sedated, this drive. Right, so we're at Burton Services now, and we are parked up. If we look here, we are currently at 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. And if we look at the metrics, it's 16.7 kilometers. The consumption is 19.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour to get to Burton Services. So we came off at the last junction and double back round the M6. So we're going southbound now, and we're heading back down to Morecambe. So going downhill, we should see better efficiency in this car. Overall, the interior is practically identical to my car, the Project 45, but the seats are actually grippier in this. I think it's because of the fabric. Well, I shouldn't really be shaking the steering wheel like that. But yeah, it seems to grip more. So we're just coming off the motorway now, and the efficiency of the car is at 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. And that is pretty impressive. I suppose it pays to have one motor when it comes to economy, rather than have two motors consuming the battery pack. So we're at 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, and we covered 30 miles, 70 miles an hour driving on the motorway most of the time. And if we look at the kilometers, that is 49 kilometers, and it's 16.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I think that's a win for the rear-wheel drive for efficiency. That's actually quite impressive for 70 miles an hour. Right, I'm just going to switch now to eco mode and just basically drive around Morecambe, check the sights out, and basically clock up a few miles, and then we'll see what sort of economy we have. We'll do a mix between the two. We'll probably just drive 10 miles around. So every time you turn the car off, jump out, come back in, boot the car up, it resets that drive information. So we're back to zero on this. We've still got the accumulative one here. So what I'll do is I've got it on eco, auto regen, just going to drive around Morecambe for a bit, urban driving, and we'll see what sort of economy we get. We'll just put the climate on auto 1. So I'm being very light-footed with this car, and this is how I was driving an eco with the Project 45, because I was trying that hard. I was getting probably about 4 miles per kilowatt hour, or 3.8. So I'm expecting a little bit better with this rear-wheel drive version, seeing that the motorway test seems to have blown the Project 45 out of the water for economy. So if you're wondering why I'm driving so slow, I didn't realise that this was a 20 zone, so I'm going that little bit slower. It's not it's not that I've got the video on slow motion. I am going to hang a right because I don't really fancy going into the city centre. I think we want to go to the seaside. I think Morecambe's actually famous for its mussels and flat fish. When I say flat fish, I'm talking about plaice and things like that. So remember, I've still got the aircon on auto level 1, and I'm just letting it do its own thing. So the temperature in here is quite comfortable at 19 degrees centigrade. And I am totally lost. I'm definitely heading towards the sea. There's a big blue bit on the map. So yep, definitely by the seaside. Oh, actually it's quite nice here. Hey, there's a bingo hall. Morecambe to my local drive in Livingston with the same mode, it's not really a fair comparison, because 3.6 to 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour in Livingston, we are in a valley there, so there's that to get factored into it all. But on the flat, this thing is absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm doing 30 miles an hour just pulling around, and I've covered 3.4 miles, and currently we're at 5.3 miles per kilowatt hour. That is quite impressive. And I'm actually along the beach now. It's actually very nice. You'll probably see it when I double back round. We're heading to a 40 zone. I'm going to find somewhere to double back round. I think we're actually heading out of Morecambe now. Lovely blue skies today. Amazing weather. Right, I'm just going to make my way back to DSG and we can get some readings on this eco drive around a flat area. Definitely not as hilly as Scotland. So I've switched the sat nav on and I've selected home. So hopefully that will take us back to DSG Hyundai, as that's what I actually programmed it when I first drove the car, or the first time you had the test drive. Exit. With me and Jen. And
leave at the 4th exit.
If not, I'm going to go to someone's house. Hopefully it's in the right location. I think it is. So I could be imagining it, but it feels like the Project 45 with its double glazed windows is definitely quieter because it's got a film on it as well. So I don't think it's my imagination. So we're back at the dealership, and if you look at the economy, I've got 5.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So what is that in the metric system? Let's find out. 13 degrees outside, so it's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 11 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. This is the rear wheel drive on the flat plains of Morecambe, doing eco mode, driving between 20 and 40 miles an hour. That is quite impressive. I think the Project 45 might be hard pushed to do that. Overall efficiency for today's drive, we covered 38 miles. That's 4 miles per kilowatt hour combined. And we go to kilometers, that's 61 or 62 kilometers, and it's 15.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers of consumption. So what this really boils down to is, if you're after an IONIQ 5 and you need the size or you like the style or design, but you're after efficiency, then obviously go for the rear wheel drive version of this car. It's definitely much more economical, and it's probably closer to the e-Niro and the Hyundai Kona for efficiency. It's probably about 1 miles per kilowatt hour off from those, but it is a larger car. So rear wheel drive for efficiency, and if you're after a bit of fun or you go a lot of off-road or in snow or you get a lot of snow, then get the all-wheel drive IONIQ 5 instead.